Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about design thinking. Now we're going to define what design thinking is, however a brief disclaimer before we start, and that is that design thinking is a very broad topic. Many definitions have been given over the years by many experts in different design fields, and the truth of the matter is that design thinking is a very broad topic. So the definitions and the interpretations are going to be opened to different interpretations. So this is something which is very important. As a brief overview of my background, I'm a full-time UI UX designer. I went to a BA and studied graphic design in one of London's best design universities, and I've been a UI UX designer for many years, working with small startups all the way to multi-million-dollar companies, and both remotely and online in the office. However, that being said, let's jump into the topic of design thinking, and let's talk about what it really is. Now, one of the best definitions, in my opinion, that I saw on the internet has been given by this website, which is interactiondesign.org, and basically they say that design thinking is a non-linear iterative process which seeks to understand users, challenge assumptions, redefine problems, and create innovative solutions to prototype and test. The method consists of 5 phases: emphasize, define, ideate, prototype, and test, and is most useful when you want to tackle problems that are ill-defined or unknown. So I really like this definition, especially how they broke down the different steps, because I really resonate when it comes to the projects which I'm doing, both personally and for clients. And I want to talk about these 5 different steps in more detail, especially on how it relates to my first-hand experience when it comes to freelance design and even in-house design. So starting for the first one, emphasize. This is a step which is essentially, it's all about understanding the problem that you want to solve, understanding the company, the business goals, and not making any assumption. This is something which is quite important because you want to just be open-minded and try to learn as much as possible in this phase, so that you're going to understand the context in which you're operating, and you're going to understand the goals and the direction that you want to achieve much better. The second step, which is the definition, the define step, it's actually a step in which you basically take all the broad research which you've done, and you essentially group it into specific and focused data, and this can be in many cases just writing down, a brief or doing user research and working with documents. It really is open to interpretation because there's several different projects, and the way that you can apply it might differ from one to the other. But essentially, it's all about going to the second step of this funnel and really creating a summary of the previous stage. The first step is to ideate, and this is the fun part because once you have all of the data, once you understand the context in which you're operating, now it's the part where you actually create a solution. So brainstorming comes in, and you create the actual product, you create the actual design, being a UI design, UX design, both of them. Like it really depends on the project, and essentially this is where you create the actual solution to that problem which you defined in the previous stages. Now, after this one, the fourth step is the prototype. And the prototype step is essentially where you create the finalized version, but it's still going to be a prototype. So essentially, this is the step before you test the actual thing, and it's a very important step because obviously it's where all of the work, all of the efforts you put into the project comes into play, and essentially this is where the project lies. So that being said, the fifth and the last step is to actually test the prototype. So once you have the prototype, you want to put it in the market, or alternatively you can send it over to as a sample to a few selected users, and basically at this stage you can see if the prototype actually works, and you can then draw your conclusions or do A/B testing, or do anything in between, really. So this is pretty much it when it comes to the steps. One thing that I want to clarify is that between step 3 and 4, there are some things that can vary. So essentially depending on the project, because as I was talking about these steps, I was trying to think through, my personal project which I'm doing with clients, and I noticed that between step 3 and 4, there might be some things which are variable in different projects. So if, for example, I have a client project and I don't need to do the prototype, I would consider step 3 as the final one. So if, for example, I want to create a website for a client, I might create just the visual designs, and I might define that as the step 3. However, I might not do the prototype, but nonetheless, the same principles apply. So you can already see how this design thinking process can be open to interpretations, can be open to just different ways of looking at it. So I just wanted to give you a, a live example as I was thinking through making this video. So again, guys, hope this video was helpful, and do let me know if you have any questions, or if you have your own opinion on the design thinking, and if you find out maybe some better definitions, some better structures and steps, do let me know. I'm always eager to learn more and see more research on this. So this is it for this video. If you liked it, please leave a thumbs up. This motivates me to create more videos, and feel free to leave a comment. You can also DM me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram, especially Instagram stories, pretty much daily. And yeah, this is it for this video. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you soon.